Hey friends. I I've had some stuff to reflect on over the past couple of days. And you know, so as usual, it's a couple of it's like a couple of different things are colliding or combining to give me a sense of a larger picture that's trying to form in my awareness. And because we're on this raw vegan detox cleanse. We're on day 10 now, I think. Yeah. Um, because of that, it's all a little more intense. Your body feels it a little more. You're a little more permeable to these impulses to come through. And something that so what I think is trying to show up is a recognition of really where my energy is going day to day. What am I really moving towards? And what are the needle movers? This is a catchphrase from my coach who had a session with a few days ago. Needle movers. What are the things that I do to create the change in my life that I want to see? What are the needle movers? And as someone who has a lot of practices and a lot of, I would say, disciplines, I I I keep routines in my life like a daily video post, like a physical yoga routine, qigong routine, a meditation practice, piano practice, etc. As someone who has a lot of that, it's important for me to track what each of those things are doing, what those where those things are taking me, and then where do I want to be going, and what are the things that actually tangibly daily or at least regularly would get me to where I want to go. Because sometimes those practices that I'm so rigorous about maintaining might be doing all kinds of positive things for me and taking me in all kinds of important and, you know, satisfying directions, but not in the direction that I'm saying I want to go, or at least in an area of my life. If it's like, yeah, but am I actually moving in this direction? The answer might be no, no matter how rigorous I'm being about all my other daily um, things. And that's never fun for me to see because it's kind of an indication that I'm potentially hiding something from my own view, right? That there's still a kind of unseen intention. It's funny because that's what showed up this morning when I say a collision of factors. This morning I was meditating and this kind of this came through in a kind of abstract way because I noticed my mind wandering quite a bit, and and then towards the end of the meditation, I realized, wait, what's really happening here? What is my underlying intention? Because I was just coaching a student yesterday who had a really powerful session with her. She said she was she would sit down to practice piano and had trouble focusing. And immediately I I realized, based on a principle that I've seen over and over again, both in my own life and in the lives of my students, I realized if you can't focus on something, it's because your mind knows that something else is more important. And so we had to connect with some tension, some existing uh, pain, tension in the body, bring our attention to that and really create space for that before we could then put our focus on the the task at hand. And really, of course, the task at hand is always a bit of a portal into the real task at hand. And if we're trying to do the thing that's actually not our highest priority from a deep kind of cosmic soul level, there's going to be dissonance in our system, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to keep our focus on what we want to keep our focus on. And so a version of that is what I was seeing in myself today, where I was meditating, but kind of not really meditating. I was kind of drifting, and I'm going, well, wait, what is my intention here? If I'm not here for the practice in a deep way, what's really going on? And essentially what shows up is a kind of sort of similar to what I was seeing in my student, I guess. I was kind of avoiding an aspect of some of pain within me, tension within myself, that really that's a high priority to address. But there's an inner evasiveness. There's an inner, maybe we can just go another day without looking and deal with it tomorrow, or kind of like not necessarily wanting to face it squarely right now. And when that is the case, then trying to put your mind on something like the breath, or like the awareness arising in the present moment, becomes difficult, because the mind had there's a part of us going, yeah, but this is what matters. You're not, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. There's this kind of, and then that doesn't always mean our mind goes there, but it means our mind is being pulled over there. So then it has to do other things to avoid going over there, because it doesn't want to go and see the thing that it doesn't want to see. And so the kind of convoluted messiness of the mind becomes a kind of evasive maneuver. And so I was seeing a little of that today. And again, being on a cleanse just makes it all more vivid. I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad we did this detox. I would recommend this to anybody. It's life-changing every time, and I've probably done it 15 times. But every time it resets my system in a way and brings me physically to a place where there's a lightness. I can already, even in this 2-week version, there's a lightness coming into my body. There's a kind of, there's an energy flow. I feel an energetic flow when I'm lying in bed at night, when I'm standing doing my physical routine in the morning, when I'm meditating. There's a kind of like, ooh, there's an open channel here. My spine can conduct. energy. And so, yeah, I'm would definitely pitch this to anyone who thinks they might be up for it. But but in the context of that, there's a there's also a fair amount of like, oh, okay, can't keep looking away from this. You can't open these channels and have energetic flow and movement, deep energetic movement in your system without expecting it to open some doors and flag up some stuff that has been sealed away. Um, so I guess in a lot of ways, this is exactly what I would have expected. It's been enough years since I did it that I had sort of like, I don't know, maybe I'd just forgotten that that was such a primary component of this work. Um, but it puts me in an extremely grateful place. And what I've also noticed is sometimes what happens to me is I'll feel like I have to do something. I've got to go do something that fixes something about that's causing a negative feeling in me. I need to go change something, go do something. But I don't know what it is, and it feels extremely, and it's almost like a bind. It's like a perfect bind because it's incredible urgency to go do something with no clarity as to what that thing is. And I've learned that that's a trick of the mind. That's actually a defense mechanism of the mind. There is no, a lot of times, maybe sometimes there is, but a lot of times there is no one thing to go do to fix this. That's kind of like the impatience of the mind wanting to alleviate this emotional, this troublesome emotional thing quickly. But that's not how it gets alleviated ultimately. It takes time, it takes consistency, it's going to take, real attention. And so, really, the thing to do is to sit with the feeling itself and then do one small thing. Just let the awareness do the work. I had again, with the same student yesterday, we talked about the fact that consciousness is curative. Consciousness is curative. If anything we hold, any pain or trauma or physical, emotional, psychic thing that we hold in our awareness is being healed by that consciousness. Consciousness is elevating us, it's integrating what the experience has to teach us, it's letting go of the things that it doesn't need, it's building healthy boundaries around things that we don't want in our system. Consciousness is healing. And so the idea that there's a thing I'm going to go do now that's going to make this go away is actually repelling the healing process. It's not accepting that I can sit with this in my consciousness and thereby heal it. So that's kind of where I'm landing with the last couple of days of this experience of feeling, okay, what are we doing here? What if I can't focus on what I want to focus on? What do I need to? What's in my peripheral vision that I might need to acknowledge? What's in my system that I might need to acknowledge, so that I can then be with it enough for it to know. If that's a high priority, if something in my system needs to be seen and felt, that's a high priority. And if I allow that to happen, if I satisfy that priority, other things become available too. So that's where I've landed today, folks. A few more days of this detox cleanse. I'll keep you posted. We're going to be on juice here in about a day or so. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. See you soon.